Hello, good morning students. Welcome back to All Force e-learning classes. This is the first year intermediate class. Yesterday we discussed about communism critic points. First of all, I am going to revise the important points of communism. Socialism was propagated by the Karl Marx in Russia with the name of scientific socialism or communism. It is also called as Marxism because this theory was proposed by Karl Marx. We can find the basic principles of communism in the writings of Karl Marx. So what are the important writings of Karl Marx? Das Kapital, the Communist Manifesto, Revolution and Counter-Revolution, etc. Then what are the important principles of communism? Number 1, dialectical materialism. Number 2, historical materialism. 3, surplus value. 4, class struggle or class war. 5, destruction of capitalism. 6th, dictatorship of proletariat. And last one is a classless or stateless society. These are the basic principles of communism. Whereas, what are the critic points? Karl Marx considered the history is divided into 4 classes or 4 stages. In his historical materialism, he classified the history into 4 stages. But there is no scientific principle for classification of history. Clear? Hence, critics did not accept the classification of Karl Marx. Second, Karl Marx considered that progress of society is marked by dialectical process. Yes, with the establishment of communist society, the dialectical process is ended, but dialectical process is not ended. It is a unending process. Then he also considered that the changes in productive forces will bring the automatic changes in polity, religion, etc. But not only productive forces will bring the changes in polity and religion, but also non-productive matters or non-economic matters or non-material matters will bring the changes, but they do not bring automatic changes. Okay, they will bring changes gradually. Then, according to Karl Marx, changes take place both in societies and world history through dialectics. But it is not correct. His proposition does not carry validity. Then, Marxism was largely based on capitalist society and industrial advanced states. Here, Karl Marx did not take into consider the agrarian societies and underdeveloped countries. But communism was propagated in Russia. And one more, communist society also established in agrarian or underdeveloped country like Russia also. Then he said that economic factors are main sources of conflicts and contradictions. But not only economic conditions, but also non-economic conditions, non-material conditions will reason for origin of conflicts and contradictions in the society. Then he proposed one more theory, namely the theory of surplus value. According to him, for surplus value, labor is the source. He said that the surplus value must be given to laborers, but it is not correct because the value of the good is not determined by not only economic factors, sorry, not only labor, but also determined by some other factors like land, buildings, then rents, next fees to the power for taxes. Like this, aspects will also determine the surplus value. Clear? And last one is due to the class struggle, dictatorship of proletariat shall be established. After proletariat dictatorship, stateless society is formed, that is communist society. He said that it is a stateless or classless society. Okay. And one more thing is, he said that after establishment of a communist society, automatically the state will wither away. But the withering away of state is a myth. These are the critic points of communism. Today I am going to explain the last lesson in 5th unit, Gandhism. So here we can study the various aspects or various ideas of the Gandhiji in Gandhism. Actually, Gandhiji did not propose any theory. Clear? Various political philosophers proposed the Gandhism with the ideas which are practiced by the Gandhiji. So, before going to explain about the basic principles or basic ideas of the Gandhiji, I am going to give brief description about the Gandhiji. So, Gandhiji born at Porbandar. On 2nd October 1869. Yes, Gandhiji was born at Porbandar in Gujarat on 2nd October 1869. He completed his primary and high school education in Porbandar. He went to England for studying the law or barrister. After completion of barrister, he came back to India and practiced as a lawyer. And one more thing, after some days on a case, he went to South Africa. Then he was also called as Mahatma. Okay, he was called as Mahatma by Rabindranath Tagore. Here, Mahatma means great soul. Next, he was also called as father of nation. And he was also called as Bapuji. These are the other names of Gandhiji. Clear? Then Gandhiji's political life began with his struggle against the racial discrimination and apartheid policy of British government against Indian community in South Africa. When he was in South Africa, he started a struggle against British government. The British government adopted apartheid policy towards Indian community. Apartheid policy means racial discrimination policy. They discriminate the Indians as blacks. It is a racial discrimination. And so he led a struggle with the Indian community against the British government in South Africa. So his public life began with his struggle against British government in South Africa. Then he came back to India in 1915. He came back to India in 1915 and established 2 ashrams in India. One ashram, namely Sabarmati Ashram. Sabarmati Ashram at Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad. It is one ashram. Second, Paunar Ashram. Paunar Ashram at Nagpur. Paunar Ashram at Nagpur. As from Sabarmati Ashram and Paunar Ashram, he continued his activities, especially from Sabarmati Ashram. As he established Sabarmati Ashram at Ahmedabad and Paunar Ashram at Nagpur. From these 2 ashrams, he continued his activities. Then, in 1915 and 1917, in India, in 1915 and 1917, the British government imposed illegal and immoral taxes on Indian traders. As the British government imposed illegal and immoral taxes on Indian traders. Then Indian traders approached the Gandhiji. Then in 1915-1917, Gandhiji led a struggle against the British government, against imposing illegal and immoral taxes on traders. It is one thing. And in 1917 and 1918, as the British government adopted exploitative policy against farmers in Champaran in Bihar state. Clear? So, in Champaran in Bihar state, the British government exploited the coffee plantation workers, and second thing is opium plantation farmers in Champaran in Bihar state. Then the farmers and the workers of Champaran approached the Gandhiji. Then the Gandhiji led a great struggle to observe protest against exploitation of Britishers. So the British exploitation, of coffee plantation workers and opium plantation workers. Clear? So it is the first and foremost the struggle which was led by Gandhiji in Champaran. Hence it is popularly known as Champaran Satyagraha. Champaran Satyagraha was the first Satyagraha movement led by Gandhiji. Then these movements, so these movements of Gandhiji influenced the public and helped him to become a great leader in India. As Champaran movement and the struggle against British government for traders. So like these movements influenced the public life of Indians and helped him to emerge as a great leader. And due to the death of Balagangadhar Tilak in 1919, he entered into Indian politics and he led the Indian national movement from 1920 to 1947. Hence, this period is called as a Gandhian Era from 1922 to 1947. In Indian national movement is called as a Gandhian Era. Gandhian Era or Gandhian stage, because from 1920 to 1947, in Indian national movement, Gandhiji led the Indian freedom struggle. Hence, this period is called as a Gandhian Era. So finally, under the constructive leadership of Gandhiji, we achieved the freedom on 15th August 1947. Okay, so we achieved the Indian freedom struggle under the constructive leadership of Gandhiji on 15th August 1947. As on certain doctrines or certain ideas. Clear? So Gandhiji led the Indian national movement based on certain doctrines. Doctrines is nothing but theories or ideas. So on the basis of which doctrines he achieved the freedom for India. So certain doctrines like truth, non-violence, satyagraha, etc. By adopting these doctrines, truth, non-violence, satyagraha, he achieved the freedom for Indians. Hence, here Gandhiji became a great leader. Gandhiji became a great leader who recognized truth, non-violence, satyagraha as a social, economic and moral values. Yes, he recognized the truth, non-violence, satyagraha as social, economic and moral values. Then, some of the important writings of Gandhiji. He wrote a number of books. The famous writings of Gandhiji. Famous writings of Gandhiji. So, some of the important writings of Gandhiji are: number 1, My Story of Experiments with Truth. My Story of Experiments with Truth. It is the autobiography of Gandhiji. Second, Hindu Swaraj. Hindu Swaraj. Number 3, Gita according to Gandhi. The Gita according to Gandhi. Yes, these are the important writings of Gandhiji. And Gandhiji was influenced by so many ideas and writings of famous personalities. Okay, so here influence of as influence. Gandhiji influenced by so many ideas and writings of great personalities. So here, which writings and which ideas influenced the Gandhiji? Now I am writing here. Number 1 is philosophical ideas of Socrates, Plato and some other writers. So philosophical ideas. So ideas of Socrates, Plato, next Thoreau, John Ruskin, Leo Tolstoy, etc. Yes, the philosophical ideas of Socrates, Plato, Thoreau, John Ruskin, Leo Tolstoy. Then the messages of Gautama Buddha. Yes. Next one is the messages of Jain Tirthankaras. Jain Tirthankaras. Tirthankaras. Next, holy books like Bhagavad Gita, Quran, Old Testament, and Hindu Puranas, etc. So these writings and these ideas influenced the Gandhiji. So what the philosophical ideas of Socrates, Plato, Thoreau, John Ruskin, Tolstoy, etc. And the messages of Gautama Buddha, the messages of Jain Tirthankaras. Next, holy books like Bhagavad Gita, Quran, Old Testament, and Hindu Puranas. So these influenced the Gandhiji. Then, what are the basic ideologies of Gandhiji? What are the basic ideologies? Basic ideas of Gandhism. So what are the basic ideas? Number one, metaphysical idealism. Metaphysical idealism. Number one. Then ethical absolutism. Third one is non-violence, the doctrine of non-violence. Next, the doctrine of satyagraha. Religion and politics. Then trusteeship, and last one is ends and means. So these are the basic ideas of Gandhism. One, metaphysical idealism, ethical absolutism, non-violence, doctrine of satyagraha, religion and politics, trusteeship, ends and means. Now let us discuss the one by one point. First one is metaphysical idealism. Now certain concepts are the basis for Gandhian philosophy. So which concepts? Upanishadic concepts. Upanishadic concepts, yes, are the basis for Gandhian philosophy. So here, what are the Upanishadic concept here? Number one, the divine. Then the universal soul. And third one is divine light illuminating everywhere. Divine light illuminating everywhere. So these are the three important Upanishadic concepts. So these Upanishadic concepts are the basis for Gandhian philosophy. So once again, so what are the basic concepts? So the divine, the universal soul, the divine light illuminating everywhere. These Upanishadic concepts are the basis for Gandhian philosophy. Then his metaphysical idealism is the combination of so many aspects. So it is the combination of so many things like non-violence, ethics means ethical values, Vedanta, Vedanta. Next, Jain, Buddhist, Vaishnava, spiritual, etc. Yes, Gandhian metaphysical idealism was the combination of all these things. One is non-violence, 2 ethics, 3 Vedanta, Jain, Buddhist, Vaishnava, and spiritual, etc. Yes, his metaphysical idealism is a combination of all these things. Then, second is ethical absolutism. Ethical absolutism. Here, Gandhiji gives more importance to moral and ethical values. Gandhiji believed as the superiority of moral and ethical values. Clear? So he believes what a superiority of ethical and moral values. It's the one thing. According to this point, we can understand that Gandhiji gives more importance to ethical and moral values. It's the one thing. Second, the roots of ethical absolutism can be traced from the Rita of Vedanta. Yes, the ethical absolutism of Gandhiji can be traced from where Rita of Vedanta, with the Rita of Vedanta. Yes, Rita is one of the concept in the Vedanta. Actually, it is a religious ceremony. But Rita will control the natural values, and Rita will control the moral and ethical values of the human beings. Clear? Now, and here, what is Rita? So here, ethical absolutism can be traced from where? Rita. The Rita is what? It is a universal and omnipresent. Yes, Rita is what? Universal and omnipresent. Yes, universal, already we know. Next, omnipresent means present everywhere at once, being everywhere. Yes, being present everywhere at once. That is the meaning of omnipresent. Then this Rita is ruling the God and man. This Rita is ruling the God and men. Clear? So in other words, Rita makes the individuals obedience to the God. Yes, it makes the individuals obedience to God. So it is called as a Rita. Yes. Now ethical absolutism can be traced from Rita of Vedanta. Clear? So Rita is ruling the God and man. And what is Rita? Rita is universal and omnipresent. Clear? Next thing is yes, today I am going to stop the class, so we will discuss the remaining principles in the next class. Okay, goodbye.